Hey, what's up, Tree Talks? Eric from the Eric and Tree Photography blog. I wanted to do this video on the idea of not asking for permission. So I think this is a very important thing for us to just think about almost anything in life. So, for example, in entrepreneurship, if you are always asking for permission, you're probably never gonna do anything, because this is my theory. I think whenever we're asking somebody for permission, what we're actually doing is we don't want to be culpable of our failures. So, for example, if I said to my partner, Cindy, "Oh, Cindy, is it okay if I started this business or something like that?" What I'm secretly actually doing is, "Hey, because you gave me permission to do this, and if I fail, it was your fault, not my fault. You should have told me not to do it." And I think this is kind of a bad way to think about life, because I think we should take more responsibility for ourselves, both for our failures and our successes. And I do believe that in life, a life of asking for permission is a life of meekness and just generally a lack of self-confidence, or a fear of just like upsetting other people. And inherent in a fear of upsetting other people is the fear that someone might attack you or harm you or injure you. So first and foremost, this notion of asking for permission is so important, because even in street photography, I think if you want to shoot candid street photos, obviously you can't ask for permission. You just take the picture, right? And even this is something I realized. Even when you're asking for permission to make a portrait of somebody, like when you want to shoot a street portrait, you're actually not asking for permission. What you're doing is you're actually informing them that you're about to make a picture of them, and thus you're just telling them out of the courtesy of your own heart that you're going to do so. And this is actually the interesting thing too, because I mean, like, it's all body language and it's all intonation and your voice and stuff like that. So for example, if you went up with someone with your camera, you're like, "Oh, can I take your picture?" Most people will be like, "Whoa, this guy is a creep. He's probably going to put it on some weird website." But then instead, let's say you come and say, "Oh, excuse me, miss, I love your look. You're just killing with that look. Do you mind if I made a quick portrait of you?" Then people will feel a lot more comfortable with it, because actually one of the tools of persuasion is, generally speaking, just complimenting people. And it's not giving people fake compliments. It's just be straight up. It's just tell people what is it about them that you like. You give them the compliment, they get the big ego boost, and thus by you making a portrait of them, it's acknowledging their beauty or their style or their uniqueness or whatever it may be. And I think generally speaking in life, so the question I had was, why do we even ask for permission? It's interesting because you think about children. So I've been watching my little niece Amelia grow up since she was a baby, freshly born until she's like almost 4 now. And generally speaking, children and toddlers, they don't ask for permission, they just do. And then it's the prerogative of the parents to chase them around and make sure they don't just kill themselves, right? But as they get older, the parents teach them to ask for permission. And it was actually interesting because today I was playing with Amelia and I was doing something and she's like, "No, Samchon, don't do that." And I said, "Why not?" She said, "Oh, someone might get angry at you, or someone might yell at you if you don't ask for permission," something like that. And I was like, huh. So in fact, whenever we're asking for permission, it's just we're afraid that someone's going to yell at us or get angry with us. And we have to really kind of unravel this too, because there's so many different layers. Is that like, why are we afraid of somebody getting angry with us? Is it just we can't take their mental abuse or whatever? Or in fact, do we just feel guilty or shame for doing something if someone gets angry at us? Anyways, it's very complicated. I haven't really obviously come up with the answers. But generally speaking, if you want to start your own business, I think, okay, so I'm only speaking for America. I don't know for other countries. The best business to start is a sole proprietorship. This essentially means that sole, like you're the solo only proprietor, owner. So you're the sole owner of yourself, your own business. And the nice thing with this is, generally speaking, it's a lot easier to file taxes. And not only that, but I even like the notion of being a sole proprietor in the sense that you could dictate for yourself what to do, what not to do. And you don't have to deal with office politics or any sort of politics at all, because you're just dealing with yourself. And so when you're starting a blog or starting a business yourself, you don't need to ask for permission from anybody before you publish something. And this is the problem with most modern day publishing. You essentially need permission from an editor or some sort of person to approve you before you do a blog post. And I think, honestly speaking, all things considered, editors are overrated in the sense that, generally speaking, I think you can still be successful in the world without having an editor. I mean, even consider, right? All the great poets and artists and the innovators of the past, they didn't have any editor to approve whatever they want to do before they did it. Can you imagine if Horace had to ask some sort of literary critic or editor to help edit his poems? No, like that's just pure nonsense, right? So I think the way that modern society is structured is that it's structured around permission, right? So before you publish a piece in a magazine or an article somewhere, you need permission, quite literally, because if you don't have permission from them, they're just not going to print it. But if you have your own website, your own blog, you're free to publish anything you want. You don't need no permission from nobody. And this is actually the interesting thing too. And this is the reason I don't like Facebook and Instagram. They have community guidelines, which means you're not allowed to post any pictures which might offend potential advertisers or people in the community. So generally speaking, you can't post nudity, or you can't post, like politically or racially unsavory things, even though you might just be trying to make a positive statement or whatever it may be. And so anytime that somebody is trying to censor you or someone's preventing you from doing something, you don't have full control. You're essentially asking for permission for someone inherently by trying to do something. And I think, honestly, and this is a sad thing, is that generally speaking, most of us, we're kind of breeded, we're tamed by modern society to need to ask for permission. Imagine it's like if you were an eagle, right? And then they clipped your talons, or, they do this all the time to dogs, right? Like to more aggressive dogs that get neutered, essentially getting your balls chopped off, which is not fun in my book. And so they're trying to make you less aggressive. They're trying to make you more tame. They're trying to make you more predictable, and they want to exert more control over you. Now, I think we humans, like what Nietzsche said, is we're kind of like beasts of prey. I mean, think about it. We're tiny. Like, compare us to other animals. We're tiny, we have no natural weapons, but what do we have? We have our cunning intellect, which has made us, gain us dominion over the earth and become conqueror of all other animals, because we're able to use our wit. And in a sense that we are like the ultimate beast, in the sense that we could create tools to kill other stuff and other people, whatever it may be. So I think by nature, we're generally speaking pretty unruly. We're pretty fierce. We're pretty ferocious. Perhaps even pretty aggressive. And maybe through natural selection, the humans that have been more cooperative have been the ones who haven't been killed off. So most of us genetically are like perhaps a little bit more tame. I don't know. So yeah, I think, obviously this is a new year, and it's the nice thing with New Year's is always a new way to reimagine a new you, to think about new ways of thinking, new ways of living. So yeah, just think about yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped asking for permission? So one motto I actually believed in ever since I was in high school, college was, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. And I think this is a generally good thing, because it allows you to take bigger risks, because, worst case scenario, you'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was the case. I'm sorry I broke the rule. But in fact, you actually knew that you broke the rule, but you're actually trying to work around it. So even at my first company, I didn't know if I was able to hire an intern or not, but I had a friend, Jay, and I really believed in him, and I wanted to help him hook him up and get an internship. So essentially, I side-skirted my boss. I went straight to HR. I'm like, I want to hire an intern. What should I do? And then I didn't even ask for permission. I'm saying, I'm doing it. Give me the instructions on how to do it. So I'm essentially telling them I'm going to do it. I've already made my decision. Give me the logistical framework. And they're like, sure. And then, I hire my buddy Jay. He's my intern. I'm working with him, blah, blah. And then one day my boss comes in and is like, did you ask me for the intern? And I just kind of like side-skirted it. But then I think that my boss at the time didn't want to look stupid in front of her boss. So essentially, I kind of got always scot-free. And so just realize that any sort of innovation or risk you want to take in life, you kind of actually need to be a little bit sly and a little bit sneaky. I think, like, you wouldn't look at a chameleon who blends in with their environment and call them immoral for their behavior. No. So I think in some ways, I mean, depending what you want in life, you kind of need to be a little bit sneaky and a little bit conniving and sly. I think it actually takes more skill to be sly and conniving than to be 100% transparent with everything you do. I mean, I do generally believe, like, even Ray Dalio, he promotes this idea of radical transparency. I actually think it's a really good idea. And even with you, I try to keep it 100, which means to keep it 100% transparent with you. But maybe even the problem too is that sometimes I don't even know my own personal motives. So even when I think I'm acting 100% transparent with you, I'm actually not, because I don't even know what I'm really thinking. But anyways, that's another philosophical topic. So try to think about living a life asking less for permission. Obviously, certain things, like if you're in a relationship, you're at kids, I think more than asking for permission, it's more of communication, saying, hey, like this happens with me and Cindy all the time, right? I want to go to the gym, right? I've already decided in my head that I'm going to go, but I want to inform her that I'm going in case she needs me to help her do something else, or she might just prevent me from going because she needs me to help her with something. I think that's okay. So maybe instead of us asking for permission, maybe at least with our loved ones, we could just be better communicators. But certainly with your business, if you're going to do a blog post, you're going to do a YouTube video, put out an ebook, whatever it may be, you don't have to ask anyone for their approval. You don't have to ask people whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. Just do it, and don't ask for permission. And I think that's also another thing too, is that sometimes before you want to do something, you ask for feedback. No, that's nonsense. Just do it and then see in reality what happens, what are the results. And generally speaking, in my photography life, in my business and entrepreneurial life, that's what I've done. It's worked well for me. Obviously, I cannot predict whether it's going to work for you or not, but I think it could. Certainly not taking any risk. And imagine a life where you only ask for permission for everything. Wouldn't that be a pretty miserable life? Anyway, some more turbo thoughts for you to think. So yeah, just once again, reflect to yourself, when you're asking for permission, what is it in fact you're trying to communicate? And also just maybe when you're about to go to sleep tonight, just kind of think in bed. If I were to never ask for permission for anything ever again in life, could I achieve more? Could I become more? Could I do more epic stuff? Some thoughts to think of, right? So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for the support, and I'm just kidding. All right, peace out.